Yo, 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 it is your host with the most, KDK Capri, the mentor and the mentee. And we back with another episode of the Wealthy and Healthy Podcast where we talk about all things wealth, we talk about all things business, we talk about all things passive income based, we talk about how to become a successful entrepreneur, right? In every aspect of, in every, situation that you might face, right? How to navigate through that, right? So this episode we're going to be talking about. I kind of wanted to break down what 2025 means to me, what we're doing in 2025. We actually are doing the 2025 Motion Challenge here at Amagio Enterprises, Amagio Solutions. So we I like to bring it back to how dedicated we are to just results and just having a something to fall back on, something to put your last name on, right? Just something to just give you a sense of freedom, right? And just give your family a sense of just give them something for you to be proud about, right? So just something for you to put your name on, something for you to be able to have in the sustainable future, right? And like I said, I always talk about retiring on your own terms, right? You always want to retire on your own terms, right? I'm not waiting for my boss to send me my 401k or whatever the case may be, right? I'm always trying to dedicate myself to my own results, right? So that brings me to what this episode is going to be about. We're going to be talking about being dedicated to results, right? The 2025 Motion Challenge, right? So I want to talk about just living in a thankful way. Why are you here today? Like, what drew you to listening to being dedicated to yourself and dedicated to the results that you want to shape your new life, right? Your new year in 2025, right? So why have you went through the things that you went through to get you where you are now? Like it's like what do you think God had planned for you when you were going through your failures, your successes, when you were going through pain, maybe when you were going through that divorce, maybe when you was going through that breakup, maybe when you was going through that time where you were homeless or you were an addict or alcoholic, whatever you were going through, because we all go through certain things in our adult age and our young age, but something brought you here today. Something brought you here to speak with KD Capri today. Something drew you here to me. Like we we have to be on we're on the same vibration, right? We have to be on a different vibration this year, right? We have to want different things, right? So like I said, living in a thankful way is how you find peace, right? You find clarity. You find lessons in everything that you do, right? So there's no way to lose, there's no way to win, there's only a way to move forward, right? So I want to talk about like creating that awareness, creating that awareness that is going to not only help you find your ideal customers, but help you find your ideal lifestyle, right? What you want your life to look like, right? So when you create awareness, you have to ask yourself a few questions. We've all asked ourselves these questions, right? Like, why would someone listen to me? Why would someone learn from me, right? Am I thinking the way that I should? Am I in the right mindset that is that needed for what I want to accomplish right now, right? So when we think about like how you want to create awareness and how you want to necessarily approach your ideal audience, right? Let's talk about being vulnerable, right? Like, how do you be vulnerable? Like, there's ways to be vulnerable and there's ways that it can help you make money, right? So when you be vulnerable, people can resonate with you. Like when I spoke on how I had a drop shipping store for a year and I made one sale in a year and a half, and I flew in. I funneled in about $5,000 or $6,000 into this venture over a year and a half, and I made about $70 in return. So it was hard, but when I spoke to the people that watched my podcast or the few people that did listen to it, and I was wondering, like, why would anybody listen to me? Am I talking about the things that I should be talking about? Are these people resonating with me? And I just was saying, I had to be vulnerable, right? And in turn, it helped people know, like, okay, she's went through it. she knows what I'm talking about. And people, and I had one of my customers, one of my clients, tell me the other day, and they told me like, um, like, why did you tell us that? And I think his exact words were, why did you tell us how you went broke before you told us how you got essentially rich or wealthy or whatever the case you want, whatever you want to call it. I know I got a little bit of change, right? But and I told him, I said, because I had to let you know where I came from, to let you know how it took me, what it took for me to get here, right? And when people know where you came from, and then they see where you're at now, when they meet you or when they first see you, it creates a sense of vulnerability. It creates a sense of trust, right? And it shows like, yeah, I was from that. Like, yeah, I've done it. I've lived it, and look at me now. I changed my life, and now I can say that I have something sustainable that is gonna stand up on its own 2 feet. That if I were to quit my job right now, I could go go do that. And the only reason why I do have a job right now is because I enjoy doing something, right? I enjoy being a cook, so I go cook. But it's all about being vulnerable, and how this can in turn make you that money. Like, when people hear that you've went through the things that they probably went through, they're gonna be like, yeah, why would I not want to learn from them? They've been through where I'm at. They can answer the questions that I have. They can steer me in the right direction. They can keep me from doing the things that they've already went through, because they see me going down the same path that they've went down, essentially, right? So that brings me to being dedicated to your results, right? Meaning you're putting in that work, right? Are you willing to do something great? Are you willing to, put in the time? Are you willing to dedicate yourself? Are you willing to go through, have some sleepless nights? Are you willing to work harder than everybody around you, right? Uncomfortability is the only way you can be great, right? The only way you can create a sense of an environment to where you can grow is to where you stir things up, right? You make yourself uncomfortable. You put your back against the wall, right, and see what you're gonna do when it's all said and done, right? When the doors close behind you and you're by yourself at night, are you going to say, I'm gonna watch YouTube and I'm gonna scroll on Instagram, or are you gonna say, I'm going to do some research, I'm gonna read a book, I'm going to work out, I'm going to meal prep so that I don't eat anything bad the next day, right? Are you dedicated to that result, right? Because once you're dedicated to that result, there's two things that are going to happen when you're dedicated to results, right? Your life is going to change. Number one, that's a given, right? When you're dedicated to certain results and the results are gonna change your life is gonna change. You're gonna get the result that you want, right? Your life is gonna change. And number two, your mindset's gonna change, right? It's gonna create a different side of you. It's gonna create a new profound way for you to win, right? And whatever your winning self looks like, that's what being dedicated to results looks like, right? When you're putting in the work, when you're willing to do something great and you're willing to sacrifice to where you can get to where you want to be. And you're willing to say, I'm willing to be uncomfortable to where I can learn something different. Every time you learn something, you're at first it's going to be uncomfortable. It might even seem foreign. It might even seem like it's not going to be worth it. But once the only way through is through, you can figure out how to dedicate yourself to those results and get the result that you want, right? So like I said, in this 2025 motion challenge, we are dedicated to results. We got to live in a thankful way, right? We got to create awareness. We got to be dedicated to ourselves, dedicated to our calling, right? And that takes me down to maintaining and not explaining, right? Like, I can't burn this into y'all's brain enough. Like, routines and non-negotiables are a foundation that every successful person uses. Whether I'm trying to lose 20 pounds this summer, whether I'm trying to open a business, whether I'm trying to scale my business from $1,000 a month to $100,000 a month, whether I'm trying to do that, it all comes down to routines, non-negotiables. You have routines that you do every morning that are essentially rituals that you live by, that are things that make you, right? Like, certain values that you live by. Certain people wake up and they pray when the first thing they do is when they get up in the morning. Certain people, I know myself, if I'm tired, I'll try and wake up and work out, right? Or I'll wake up and make a smoothie so that I know I can have, because I know most of my days are filled with busy, like busy, 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 right? So, and I know a lot of my days are consisted of doing a lot of research, doing a lot of studying, right? So I know that my routine has to be in furtherance of making sure that I am mentally able and I have the mental capacity to handle being having staring at a computer for 4 or 5 hours a day, or doing that and then going to work in the kitchen and serving the people that I serve at the bar that I work at. You have to be able to have routines, right? Non-negotiables is another thing. Non-negotiables are things that you don't like. You don't go every day without, before you go to work, you don't take a bath. Like, you have to take a shower. Like, it's a non-negotiable, right? You can't be going to work smelling musty. Before you leave out the house in the morning, you're gonna brush your teeth. Before your kids go to school, you got to make sure that they have their books and their homework and their lunch. Non-negotiables, things that you have to do in order for your day to be productive in any type of way, form or fashion, right? So these are non-negotiables, things you do every day that are just like you can't not do if you want to have a productive day, right? So let's think about this, right? Why are you broke? Why are you rich? What is separating you from, like, if you're broke, what is separating you from being rich? If you're rich, what is separating you from being broke? Most of the time, 99% of the time, is the mindset. So, like I said, 2025 motion challenge. You got to live thankful. You got to create awareness. You got to be dedicated to results. That's a mindset, right? That comes down to mindset. That comes down to you thinking, okay, 2025, I'm only going to be dedicated to growing my business and creating a new profound way for me to make money, right? And what's separating you from your competition, right? And who's your competition, right? I know me personally, I think the only competition I have is myself. So what's separating me? What's separating myself now from where I was 5 years ago, and what is separating myself now from my future self in 5 years, right? That's what separating what competition, right? What is the competition doing that I'm not doing? Let me think. Let's talk about grinding in silence. I really want to talk about grinding in silence. Like, grinding in silence is like, let's break it down, right? When we grind in silence, we can create a new environment, right? Because if we think about the environment that we had before we were who we are now, right? Like, I know me, like, my past environment, I was probably, with the homies every day. I had a really little, like honestly, had a sketchy background, to be honest. And I wasn't making the best decisions, right? I wasn't putting myself in the best situations, right? I wasn't making the right connections, right? I wasn't making the right relationships. I was doing any and everything with the money that I earned. But at the same time, I learned a lot of things about life. I learned a lot of things about business. I learned a lot of things about ethic. I learned a lot of things about professionalism. I learned a lot of things that in turn created the like-minded business person that I am today. That's why I was able to do it so early, because I learned about life early, right? So, and like, when you street smart, everything else kind of like falls in line for you, essentially, because it's like, I don't like, I can be in any setting already, because I'm from around the way, right? So it's just different, you know what I mean? So when you can create a dedicated grind, right? When you're dedicated to that results and you do it in silence, but you let people know, like, you gotta let people know, like, when you manifest it and you let people know, like, hey man, I'm gonna do this. I'm going to do this year. This is my year. And then you do it in silence. That's how you go. Like, you're not only gonna be able to know that you did it yourself. You're gonna get that clarity within yourself. But guess what? You're also gonna find that you can do anything that you want, and you can reach anybody that you want. You can reach people on a higher level. So think about what you're dedicated to, right? Think, like I said, what brought you here today? What brought you to the Wealthy and Healthy podcast, to where you can resonate, right? To where you can be uncomfortable with us and vulnerable with us, right? And I hope you guys write this down, but like, maintaining, not explaining, keeping your routines and non-negotiables, in your everyday life, thinking about your mindset, right? Separating yourself from your competition, separating yourself from the competition that you have with yourself, and just grinding in silence and doing the work in silence, right? Everything happens behind closed doors. That's what builds character. That's what builds loyalty. That's what builds discipline, right? Doing things when nobody's looking, right? So like I said, 2025 motion challenge. We are in this thing. We are gonna get so big this year that like I said, I'm manifesting it now. It is the 22nd of January. It's 2:29 p.m. in the afternoon, and we got to document it, right? And this year is gonna be different. We gonna change. We're gonna meet new people. We're gonna put ourselves out there. We're gonna take that risk, right? And see what happens, right? Dedicate yourself to results, because once you dedicate yourself to results, you ain't gonna get nothing but results, right? When you dedicate yourself to being lazy, you ain't gonna get nothing out of it. When you dedicate yourself to being the best drug dealer, when you dedicate yourself to being the best doctor, when you dedicate yourself to being the best basketball player, that's what's gonna happen, right? So yeah, grind in silence. Um, think about living in a thankful way. Always think about the things you can control and be thankful for the things you can't control and the things you can't control. Because one thing you can't control is waking up in the morning. So be thankful for that. And like I said, like, comment, subscribe. We're finna get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm just excited to keep coming back with that heat, and just giving you guys that filling that void that I know I could feel, and that I need you guys to just let me know I'm doing a good job. You know what I mean? Good job, Larry. Yeah. So like I said, next week we're coming back with some more heat. We're gonna be actually breaking a lot of things down next week, and showing you guys how to work a little, plan a little bit, and just how to navigate yourself through your financial freedom. And like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Again, this is the Wealthy and Healthy Podcast. You talking to KDK Capri, the mentor, the mentee. And we clocking out. We going to see y'all next week.